2005 YU-55 made it in the mainstream, looks like. Did you all see this article? All eyes are on huge asteroid, November the 8th. It's an article about YU-55, close approach, and how they're going to get a lot of data and be watching it. It's going to be a good opportunity for them, they claim. Passed by Earth, closest to date by an object this big that we know about beforehand. Littler one, 2011 CQ1, came within 3,400 miles, but it wasn't seen in advance. It's the first one since '76 that they've known about in advance for such a big object. A rare cosmic event. You can come and see what they have put in. It's a fairly lengthy article. A lot of the stuff in there we already knew and discussed earlier. And then they've got your little animation showing the intersection or the routes Earth, YU-55 and the Moon. We expect to get not only detailed radar imagery on the size, shape, and spin dynamics, but also high-resolution spectroscopic data to better determine its composition. So they're pretty interested. Don Yeomans, who we'll talk about here in just a minute, or we'll let him talk for himself. He's the manager of the NEO program office at JPL, and scientists are anticipating a great occasion. That's the way he termed it, so they're looking forward to it. Truly an extraordinary flyby that we hope will reveal considerably more information than we currently have about this 400-meter size, round, dark, and mysterious little world. Expecting clear skies on flyby day. It's Brian Warner. He is the director of the Palmer Divide Observatory, north of Colorado Springs. He's heading a campaign of backyard astronomers to observe it. They're equipped with 0.2 to 0.5 meter telescopes and higher end CCD cameras. Those participating have some background in asteroid photometry. So a lot of eyes are going to be in the sky for YU-55. I think you'll see something. I don't think we're going to get impacted, though. I'm just not seeing enough stuff to... it's going to be something different for sure, but I just don't think we're going to get a splashdown in the water or a land hit out of it. But things can change, can't they? So we'll definitely be watching the sky. I can't say that I've seen anything as of yet, not with naked eye. So I don't know when that exact opportunity would be. I think probably pretty close to the 8th. From what I've found more times than not, it's pretty close to the 8th from what I've been finding out and be able to see. But we'll get there and we'll know. We'll find out what it's going to do, if anything. But it really does, from what I've been looking at for quite some time. It looks like it's just going to go by, but like I say, we'll just have to see. So now, I mentioned Don Yeomans. Well, let's hear what Don Yeomans has to say. And he's the director of the NEO program, they said.
I'm not expecting anything special in 2012 around December 21st. I'm not going to lay in any extra supplies, no survival gear. I'm just going to lay in an extra supply of eggnog for the coming holiday season. There's no planet Nibiru, there's no planet X, and nothing is hurtling toward us. But there have been claims on the internet that there is a planet called Nibiru, 4 times the size of the Earth, that's going to come close to the Earth or smack it in December of 2012. But there's no telescopic evidence. There's no evidence that it's perturbed any of the inner planets or the outer planets, which it would have to do if it were in an orbit around the Sun. And so there's no evidence whatsoever. And as Carl Sagan pointed out many times, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and there's no evidence whatsoever for Nibiru. The Mayan calendar does not end in 2012. They have terms that they use for long periods of time, much like we have terms for long periods of time, like a decade, a millennia. The Mayans had something called the long count, which was 5,125 years long, and that's what's coming to an end on December 21st, 2012. But a new long count begins on December 22nd, 2012, much like our own calendar ends on December 31st, and a new calendar for the next year begins on January 1. Regarding the solar maximum cycle, the Sun has a period of solar activity that lasts about 11 years, so it is scheduled to reach a maximum around 2012, but it's been doing this for millennia. It reaches a solar maximum every 11 years or so for millennia, and there's no reason to suspect that this 2012 time period will be any different from the others. Now, as far as the Earth's magnetic field goes, there is, in historic time, pole reversals, north to south, south to north, but that sort of pole reversal of the Earth's magnetic field occurs on 400,000 year timescales, and it takes thousands of years for that change in polarity to take place. And there's no evidence whatsoever that it's going to start changing polarity in 2012, and even if it did, that wouldn't affect the rotation of the Earth, nor would it affect the rotation axis of the Earth. There are no planetary alignments in 2012. There won't be any planetary alignments for a couple of decades on either side of 2012, and even if there were, it wouldn't be in effect, because the only objects in space that materially affect the Earth's motion are the Sun and the Moon. Folks have to be very careful when they get information on the web, and that goes especially for objects that are in near-Earth space and are coming close to the Earth. We have a website called Asteroid Watch, which is backed with evidence and scientific method. If we put something out there, it's the truth. If you go to other websites and they're putting things out without evidence, without science, don't believe it. You have to be very careful where you go for your information.
And that you do, Don. That you do. You see what I mean? They'll put some truth in there, and they'll mix it with some non-truth, and it sounds real good, and you got to filter out what you can. So you find a little something from what they tell you. And he mentioned the Mayans, didn't he, in 2012. So he led into the next thing that we'll look at. This is just a little article that I found. You may have seen it. It's a Mayan filmmaker who's got photo as proof of aliens, and he claims Stephen Hawking agrees. Now, if you go through the article and read it, he's talking about this picture right here. The monument, according to the accompanying letter by the archaeologist, dates back to between 3,500 and 5,000 BC and is evidence of a superior civilization unlike any known to have lived on Earth. And then the archaeologist describes the photograph of being as a bust, which at first glance can be seen to have an elongated cranium and fine characteristics which are not consistent with pre-Hispanic races. of America. And he goes on and says he certifies that this monument presents no characteristics of Maya, Nahalt, Olmec, or any other pre-Hispanic civilization. And he claims it was created by an extraordinary and superior civilization with awesome knowledge, of which there's no record of their existence on this planet. And he's got this photo is one of several purported pieces of evidence that he's going to have in a documentary, which he's making with the cooperation of the Mexican and Guatemalan governments, and he's keying it to the year 2012. And he said it explains who we are. And he said it explains why there's these big monuments all around the world. And this is also he's related to the actor Raul Julia, if anybody remembers him. So it's got links that you can click and read more a little bit through their links, and an email sent to a representative for Hawking was supposedly not answered about the quote. And then he claims the direct quote from Hawking, who he said is going to work with him and will be included in the film. This is the warning I think that we've already heard. He warns humanity that aliens are out there, and just because they were friends with the Mayans doesn't mean they are our friends, and humans should avoid contact with aliens at all costs. But, well, he's kind of a scientific kind of a person, so I don't know how they could be friends with the Mayans if the Mayans cut hearts out and offered him in sacrifice. So, different kind of a handshake, eh? But anyway, he denies that he has said that. But he did say, and we all remember that if we heard it, I did, if the aliens ever did visit us, he thinks the outcome would be much when Columbus first landed in America, which didn't turn out good for the Native American. So, that's pretty much saying it would be a takeover. Enslaved. Let's see. And then it goes to say the head depicted in the photo is 51 feet tall and 6 meters wide. No longer in the Guatemalan jungle, but has been moved to the United States and hidden. And he claims he was informed by officials in the government of Guatemala that the U.S. government brought it here. And then you go on down here. We have a gang of archaeologists and scholars and scientists that are going to come forward and show everything they have, and he swears governments will do the same. I was told by the officials that the Mayans and the ETs had a history of exchange. This is official. This is as official as it can get. The world has not seen this. Nobody has seen this, but there's no doubt in my mind that the world is ready for the truth. This is going to create a worldwide impact in how people see things. Well, it could be just some hype for the movie coming out so they can make some money and get it all in anticipation of it. Or there could be some truth in what he's saying. But remember, ultimately, who the ETs are, and they're not friends. And they're not just ETs. They're fallen angels. Let's see. Now we want to go over here. And I said all along, lots of other people did too, that the radiation situation from Fukushima was worse than what they were saying all over the world. Much less right there in Japan. I've shown before the models that showed the cloud or the poison arriving over here. Now let's go through and I'll pick out some highlights of this. You can come and read it. But it's telling you that the nuclear disaster released twice as much, double the amount, of a radioactive substance into the atmosphere as the Japanese authorities estimated, reaching 40% of the total from Chernobyl. The estimate of much higher levels of radioactive cesium-137 comes from a worldwide network of sensors. Okay. The study did not consider health implications of the radiation. It is dangerous because it can last for decades in the environment, releasing cancer-causing radiation. The long-term effects of the nuclear accident are unclear because of the difficulty of measuring radiation amounts people received. In a telephone interview, they said emission estimates are so imprecise that finding twice the amount of cesium isn't considered a major difference. He said some estimates have been higher than that. Last summer, the Japanese government estimated that the Fukushima accident on March 11th released 15,000 terabecquerels of cesium, and they are a radiation measurement. And the new report estimates about 36,000 of them through April 20th. That's about 42% of the estimate released from Chernobyl. Okay, and then you read on down, and it says that a fifth of the cesium fell on the land, well, most of it fell in the ocean, and 2% came down on land outside Japan. They don't have any firm predictions on how many cancers would result because they're still trying to find out what doses people received. Some radiation from the accident has also been detected in Tokyo and in the U.S. But the experts say they expect no significant health consequences there. Still, in Japan, there's strong concern about the radiation, and the parents of the children are quite worried. He also noted his study found that the emissions dropped suddenly at the time workers started spraying water on the spent fuel pool from one of the reactors, and that challenges previous thinking that the pool was not emitting cesium. Now you see, we're 6 months down the line, or 7, getting ready to be 8. And now they're coming out and dribbling out a little bit of information, and they're telling you it's 40% or so of Chernobyl. But they are coming forward and saying, well, the levels are higher than what we originally thought. Well, we're not stupid. We've been keeping track of this the whole time and trying to tell everyone that the levels were higher than what they were telling, that it was going to get over here. You could see it on the models if the models were anywhere accurate, and you could see it flow. So, air, plant life, animals, people, water, the whole 9 yards. It's radiation. It's radioactive. And the article mentioned cancers and stuff. So that's what it does. You don't just fall over dead unless you get a super high enough dose. Then you'll go pretty quick. But you get dosed and dosed constantly at a certain level. And the result is going to end up being negative for you. And things are going to go south. Okay, we'll take a look at the old earthquake over here. They kind of got blitzkrieged over here in the Peru area, near the coast of central Peru. I've already got it locked in. Now on this one, it's showing two 6.9s, both near the coast. Now, there may be just one after. Oh, maybe they'll clarify this later on. Usually when they have two here, they leave them up. And then you've got your 5 and your 4 7s, a cluster of 4 9 on the 29th, 4 7, and then a 5.5. So they had something definitely, for some reason that area right there just got pinpointed, just like over in Turkey. You know, it's like somebody jabbed a needle in there, and then over here in Turkey and everything, that's what it seemed like over there. Like somebody just jabbed a needle in there, and they had their big cluster. So we do have a little bit going on over here. Other than that, a 4-4 in northern Italy on the 29th, a 4-7 on the 28th in western Iran. We swing over here and we're going to see some 4 action, 4-9 in Indonesia, 28th, 5-4, 28th Indonesia, 4-9, 28 Papua New Guinea, 5-2, 28 Solomon Islands, 5-1, 29 Santa Cruz Islands, 4-9, 29 Vanuatu, 4-7, 29 southeast of the Loyalty Islands. And that pretty well scanned them. So they're in the 4 to 5s right now. 4.6 in the Mariana Islands region. Japan got some. 4-9 on the 29th. Alaska is getting some. A 4-4 on the 28th. A 4-9 on the 28th. A 4 and 5 on the 28th. We're seeing a little bit of stuff in California. They're getting their 2s. Of course, they had the 4-7. We knew about that one. Right here, 3.3. We're getting up there in the magnitudes. I'm going to try to see if they're doing some fracking down around there. I'm sure they are somewhere in that region, not too far away. And I'm going to check into that to make for sure. And if I'm wrong, I'll take that back. But we also got a 2.1 in Arkansas. And you know, that procedure of extraction, it may be cost effective in the best way for them and everything, but it surely doesn't help the earthquake cause. That's for sure. Moving things around like that, I don't think you can put them back the same way you found them. So we're looking pretty down south here in Chile. They didn't really show anything that they've had action today. Well, other than that, it seems to be just that area, really. It's not too high of magnitudes going on right now elsewhere. So let's check our solar. Now this is the index projecting for the 12-hour plot, the 29th. and it's pretty well. And then we'll go ahead and even refresh it. It's pretty well flat. So right now it's not showing anything. And then we come over here and get our current space weathered, and it's low right now at the moment. Of course, in a a little while we might be getting an absorption of the CME arrival, and that's when you'll see the level go up some. And their 3-day forecast, whoops, we're going to find out the 3-day forecast. Expected to be low, isolated M, region 13, 30, 24, and 33 are the most likely ones. Quiet for the first part of one day on the 29th, and increase to unsettled level with a chance for active periods beginning late on the 29th and continuing through the first and second days, which would be the Halloween. And it's expected due to a high-speed stream from the solar or the coronal hole. So I have actually already been here and looked at it, and the speed, not long before I came on here to make the video, was just kind of fluctuating between 300 and 400, and that'll probably pick up like they said. Going in is what it looks like into the 29th through the 31st. Looks like as it changes from the 30 to the 31st, you'll probably be the more likely time. We'll be knowledgeable of that. And then our message alert says that the mid-latitude K index at 30300 UTC on 29 October was 0. So, and then at 000 it was 0. So we're doing okay on that. We'll just have to watch this earthquake situation, because the sun has already seemingly done its thing for the moment, and we're already taking what it gave us last time, and then this is gonna kind of layer it on. So we'll just have to see how we weather it. Now this area here that we're talking about this freaky document that I still haven't finished reading, I'm not going to buy into that there's going to be something on that day, because there's too many reasons why to say why there's not going to be. There's not enough of them to say why there would be on that day. It is strange and everything, and it is ominous with the exercise on that date, and we already knew that we were going to have a emergency broadcast drill over here, you know, where they're going to do their first ever broadcast, government run and all that stuff. But as far as anything hitting that, well, I can't find it yet, and I'm watching hard. And as far as I know, you know, we're seeing some things going, but not anything that looks like it's hurtling, coming at us. You know, YU-55 is going to be cutting a path, and that would have to be what they would be talking about if anything coincided with the date, because we already know that's in that date line, and now this stuff here is in that date line. But date lines, as we know from September and October, sometimes are early. The numbers can look appetizing and look exactly fittable, like it works itself right into everything. But in the play out, it ends up not fitting right. Not that it wasn't something that we shouldn't have seen and prepared for, but that it just didn't work as it looked like. And that's what I think about this. I think maybe they're getting ready for something that may happen, and that's a cover for preparedness, but maybe they don't really know. Similar to New Madrid drill, where it was earthquake, and then it turned out to be flood. So it looks like they prepare because they know things, and then something happens, maybe not on the same exact timeline that they're ready at, but at some point, and then it turns out to be whatever it is. You know, maybe they did anticipate a flood and just didn't say it. Maybe they just said earthquake on purpose. I don't know. Not really. Only they know, for real. But I know what I suspect. And I suspect that something in this region at some point probably will occur. You know, something is going to occur at some point and break this section in here. I do agree with that we're going to have a whole lot of water at some point. It's just trying to pinpoint the time of it. And we're probably going to come to the realization that we're not going to pin the time down perfectly. That we're only going to be able to get into the time window. But we can get it pretty close because we're smart and we watch. And we're watching right now. We're on top of everything. So one last little issue. I was wondering that myself. But I don't know. I'm not sure. You know, is anyone out there having any problem with viewers finding your video and being able to view it, or showing up on your page when it's showing new subscription upload, or any notification problems? I noticed some things on my channel going on with viewing, and then a comment came to me about the same type of thing that I had on my mind about viewing. So if there's some screwy stuff going on around YouTube right now, cue me in on it. And I don't know what I can do about it, or what anybody can do about it, but at least we can know that they're screwing with some people, if that be the case, of which I don't know for sure yet, but it's something I'm thinking about, but who knows. Well, it's going to be a nice football game tomorrow. We're going to see if the Sooners can rebound against the Kansas State Wildcats. Promises to be probably a pretty good tussle for a while. And we'll see if they can pick themselves up off the ground from the humiliation last week at Texas Tech, or from Texas Tech. So y'all have a good weekend. Try to enjoy something. If I see anything, I'll bring it out. You know, the earthquake deal in Peru just kind of sprung up, boom, and then the cluster. But if I see something like that tomorrow or anything, well, I'll put something out for you and keep you informed. Until then, good night, God bless. I'll see you in a while.